What's going on, you guys? I actually got a cool package. It's from ZYLtech Engineering. They sent me this new resin for the SLA printers like this one. This is the Anycubic Photon S. Pretty neat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually try out this resin, give it a review, an honest review, and see how much I like it. What's really cool about this resin is it's actually an ink dyed resin. So I can change the color of this resin to any color I want. Haven't even opened the package yet, so let's go ahead and dive in. So you have this one right here. This is the actual transparent, and it's a rapid cure. And of course, always wear gloves. So we're going to go ahead and dive in and kind of open everything up, see what it is. Now, I'm guessing that this is the dyes for the resin because it's clear. So we can actually see what colors they gave us. Oh, very cool. So you got your yellow, you got your black, you got your blue, your green, your red, and your white. Now we're going to go ahead and use the blue. I love blue. It looks purple almost. What's really cool is your red, your yellow, and your blue, you can make any color combination you want. It's important to remember in case you have a specific color you want to make. So I'm going to do, I'm going to put all these here. This is the one we're going to use. See Roy G. Biv. All the colors, not the colors. We're going to use the blue. Let's go ahead and open this up. Like I said, it does have a pretty strong smell. Stronger than most resins that I've used. Actually, I think this is the strongest smell of any resin I've used. Pretty excited about it. So, you always want to shake it. And that's just to get the compound mixed really well. Well, this is even nice too. They actually gave it in a bottle. It's kind of like one of those bottles you get whenever you have your car with oil. So you can actually see how much is in here. I really like that. That makes it super easy for me to see how much is in here and how much I need. Now, I've never done this before, so we're going to have a little bit of fun with this. I'm going to go get some cups and mix it in, and we'll go from there. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm mixing this. I actually created my own stir wand. I didn't have a stick or anything. You don't want to use wood or anything like that because if there's any particles that do get in your resin, it's going to cause printing problems in your printer. And we don't want that. We're doing a complicated print. So I'm going to print, this is actually a Drogon base, and we're going to actually print his head and his jaw. So his skull, his jaw, and then Danny will sit right here. You can see his two tiny indentions where knees will go. And they're going to be tiny with a lot of teeth and a lot of detail. So that's why I want to print them in a resin. This is a model that I designed, and I'll show you guys the finished product when it's all done as well. So, always wear gloves when you deal with resin. It can irritate your skin, it can cause blisters. I've actually had a reaction where I touched my eye with a glove after I've been playing with resin, and my eye got little blisters underneath it. I didn't get it in my eye, but I got on the skin underneath it. It doesn't make fun. It's really bad. I suggest you always wear gloves and don't touch your face. It's kind of like wearing masks. Don't touch your face. And you probably should wear a mask doing this and goggles just so you don't get spilled in your eye. But I've done this enough. I'm pretty careful. I should do it, so do what I say, not what I do. I'm going to go ahead and open this. And there is no protective blockage, and it is very, very strong smelling. There's no protective layer from the cap to the bottle, so make sure when you open it, you let it sit for a second to drain down a little bit. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to use one full cup. I have some extra ones to put the stir wand in when I'm done with it. So we're going to fill this up all the way. Leave a little bit of room because I'm going to be stirring it. I don't want to stir it vigorously, but I am going to stir it pretty well. So we only used, that's not bad, only 100, I think it's milliliters, yep. We only used 100 milliliters. So that's not too bad. Like I said, we're going to use the blue. Let's go ahead and open it.
That's crazy. Can't tell how to open this. Can't be. It's not a screw off.
Oh, okay, I'm an idiot. So I actually like this design. It's like a medicine bottle, so kids can't open it. You push it down to unscrew it. That was actually very easy. I feel like an idiot. I appreciate that. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the one drop. Let's see how well it works. Oh, that's cool. So you couldn't see it because of the camera angle, but it dispersed very well in the top layer. We're gonna go ahead and try to stir it all in here and see how well it stirs. See it's starting to change. Oh, I really like that. Smells like a nail salon, so just be ready for that smell if you do decide to use this stuff. And one drop seems to do a lot. I'm trying to move my hand, get out of your guys' way. It's doing what I thought it would do, and that's why I brought extra cups. So we're gonna put this in here. It's gonna be a little heavy, so we're gonna move this back here. Now I'm gonna actually pour mix, which I don't suggest you doing because it does add another element to mixing. It might be the best way to do it, but you can notice the resin now is gonna be pretty messy. But I wanna make sure I get an even mix. Okay. So I like this turquoise blue, but I really like purple. So we're gonna do a little bit of red too. And it is blue. It looks purple in this dye. It's very blue. So let's try a bit of red. And see how easy that was? I got it off instantly. So we're just gonna use one drop of red. I'm always scared when it explodes something. So let's shake this down. One drop of red. Okay. And we're gonna just try mixing now by the pouring method. I want to see if this works better. I don't think it is, but we will find out soon enough. I feel like a mad scientist right now. It's actually not bad. That mixed really easily. So, if you do this, you're going to want a little bit of a faster mechanism for stirring it, but it looks like it mixed pretty well. Okay, so now is the fun part. I'm going to pour this into the machine, so I got to get the machine turned on. Everything I want to print I already preset on this memory card. So yeah, I'm going to cue that now. Let's pour in our mix. Oh yeah, that's going to be nice. Make sure if you do it this way, you don't get any on the rim of your build plate. You can always clean it off, but you definitely don't want it to get onto your LCD screen. Okay, since I'm done with those, I'm going to put everything to the side. Put my gloves in here so I can use them to pick up this. Just simple things you learn over the process. Now I have already calibrated the build plate. Make sure everything's tight. So we can go ahead and go back. We're going to go print. Alright, we got it. I updated the firmware, I updated my software, and I used ChuChuBox because I like to put my own supports and it's a really great system and our software. Only problem is you have to save your file as an STL file, export it out or save it, and then import it into Anycubic. It's the only way you're going to get them onto the Anycubic photons. Pretty ridiculous, ChuChuBox, upgrade your stuff, but I figured out it works. So let's get started. So we're going to turn on the printer, resin's in there, watch it not work. Let's see what happens. and it's right there. We're gonna click it. Here it goes. So we're just gonna let this print, and it'll be done like, we'll wait until it goes all the way down. Let's retry that. Cool. And that was perfect. One of these cups is perfect for this. So you only need to put about 100 milliliters of resin in the vat. Cool. And it's gonna be done like, okay, so the print's done. I noticed that there's a few little mistakes, but they're not from the resin. The resin looks really good. The mistakes are from me and the supports. And what had happened was some of the supports didn't stick to the build plate, which won't be a problem. It looks like they printed almost everything perfectly except for that. So I'll probably go into my program and fix those, add a little bit more supports to get the stick to the build plate better, but everything else looks great, and it's only on one column. So we're gonna go ahead and open this up and take a look at it. The smell is pretty strong. I think because the carbon filters inside the machine were keeping the smell at bay, but I have the hiccups. When I walked in the hall this morning, I could really smell the resin. And so it is a very pungent smelling resin, so be ready for that. I wouldn't have this in a room that you're sleeping in, and I wouldn't use it in your house if there's not a good ventilation system. I would definitely keep it in the garage or someplace safe, or have a vent system for it that gets rid of that smell. Check this out. Looks pretty good. Yep. Whew. Yeah, it's definitely a strong smelling resin. Awesome. Everything on the lower jaw printed well. Danny printed well. Drogon's skull printed well, except for where the supports failed. Other than that, it looks really good. I might even be able to save it, but I'm not going to because this is a commission piece for a client. You know what? I'm gonna leave that on there. I'm gonna get a few pieces of equipment, get some gloves, and we'll go from there. So this is Drogon's body and this is his head. That's Danny. I know you guys can't see this very well, so I'll make let's flash over to see a smaller size. But his head fits perfectly on there. So actually blowing my mind at how well this resin worked and keeping it shape. Didn't have any shrinkage like I normally do. And it's gonna be a very beautiful model. The model body is actually printed in PLA, and I do that because it's so large. I could do it on my other printer, but it's not cost efficient. Now this resin, I am super impressed with. The teeth are all there. You got all the details. I'm really blown away by this. You got his tongue, his teeth, all the spikes. I've never had a perfect print with all the spikes, so this is great. And again, this is a ZYLtech dyed resin. And we tried to make a purple color, and I obviously did not put enough color in there for this one. I'll do a few more experiments. I cleaned it with Simply Green, and then I put in my UV chamber after I did that. Make sure when you clean parts too, don't cut the supports off until you heat them in warm water. It makes the supports much easier to get off, and you don't leave the little indentions. I'm really blown away by this. It's beautiful, it's flawless. Not flawless, let me take that back. I had a mistake on this horn, but if you look at it, you can't even tell. I couldn't even tell. When I prime it, there will be no difference. This came out very well. I highly recommend this resin. Just be aware that this resin does have a pungent smell to it. It's very strong, it's stronger than the other resins, and it does cure very quickly. I had some resin that came off of these on the tray when I took it back to the cleaning station, and it had already hardened from these lights I have for the camera setup and for my lights over there I use to see. So I turned them off so I wouldn't have to worry about them hardening this guy before I got the supports off, because you don't want to harden it before you take the supports off. It'll make it much more difficult to get rid of them, and it'll leave indentions and other flaws. But as for this resin, I highly recommend it. I'm gonna rip this off for you guys. What am I doing here? I gotta make it look pretty. So what was my final opinion on this product? It's absolutely amazing. I would give this product easily a 10, but the smell is so strong. So that's why ZYLtech, I'm giving it an 8, but it doesn't mean I don't love it. It had phenomenal results. It was great. The print looked wonderful. I was able to get all the teeth and everything else on the model. Also, I was able to drill through the model, and that was really big to me. Actually, these were 2 parts, and I welded them together. After I welded them together, I actually went back and drilled through the back. And I did it right on the crease line from where the 2 parts were. And I welded them together with the own resin. I took a syringe, put it in the vat, took a tiny drop of resin, put it on here, pushed the 2 pieces together, and then put them in the UV chamber to bake or solidify. So it's very photosynthesis of plants. And it's wonderful. I mean, I've dropped this thing. Danny, you can see, is absolutely tiny. She's smaller than my fingernail. And she's been dropped everywhere. I dropped her 100 times. And this resin is not super brittle. It actually has a little tiny bit of flex, so it doesn't break. That's great for tabletop gaming. If you have pieces, you're dropping them. The only thing that I did not like was you have to make sure when you wash these that you get all the residue off, or the primer will not stick. I went through a couple different primers. I did the Rust-Oleum, I did the Citadel spray can, and I did regular primer for my airbrush. The primer for the airbrush worked the best, so did Citadel. The Rust-Oleum, not so much. I also washed it when I washed these in simple green, and it worked, but it left residue. I even took them into the sink, washed them with water for 5 minutes, brought them back, and re-washed them, and it was fine. But I highly suggest using rubbing alcohol. If you use alcohol to clean your parts and you do it well, you're not going to have any of that residual residue or resin residue, and it makes it easier to prime instantly. But you do need to make sure that the pieces are clean, or the residue will not allow the primer to adhere and it'll come off. But you can see I haven't even put the top layer coating on these, and they are absolutely fine. I have no problem touching them. The paint's not coming off. And so once I put the clear coat on, it'll actually make it so that you can do whatever you want with these pieces. But I didn't want to do that yet because I wanted to see how well I could hold them. And I'm kind of sweaty. It's Houston. It's like 100 degrees outside and humid. And I'm touching the pieces left and right. No problem whatsoever. Other than that, the rating, like I said, is an 8. It was great. I had no problems with it, but the smell. If you don't have the carbon filters in your printer, your whole room is going to stink. The room I had this in is actually a 20-foot by 12-foot wide room, and the whole room smelled like the resin. So if you have a small area and you're working with, you're going to need a filter. You're also going to need some circulation in that room because it is overbearing how strong it is. But it looked great. This piece actually goes to my Drogon for a client. So its head, and what I needed the drill for is to put this neodymium magnet. The magnet. What are they called? Neodymium? The magnets that are really strong, so I can just pop it on, no problem. You can see I let it use its force. This resin's great. I have no problems putting it on pieces. They stick really well, and everything looks super clean. And it actually fits perfectly. I don't have any problems. You can see the line barely, and that's with 2 separate pieces. Other than that, the resin was flawless. I would highly recommend it. I actually will be using this resin a lot more. It does work well with the dyes. Unfortunately, I didn't put enough color into this one to make it purple, so it came out like a weird bluish green hue. But I wouldn't even use this in a bigger printer because it takes so much resin. I used 100 milliliters in the Anycubic Photon resin vat. For my PO Poly L and also my Form 3, I wouldn't use it because it takes so much. But I will be doing smaller prints, especially like elemental flames, elemental powers and stuff for different characters. So I can actually have that clean hue and water too. So I'm pretty excited to test that out. But you can see like the model holds together very well. It's very sound. I have no problems with it. And it's super sturdy. I've been banging it up left and right and have had no problems, no issues whatsoever with it. And the teeth, as you can see, actually get hit when I put this in there, and I've had no problem. It's been wonderful. The model looks phenomenal. This is actually going out as a professional piece, and so I highly recommend this resin. I'm using it now. I love it. I'll be buying more of it. And so, yeah, and the best part is this is made in America. Support our country, test it, try it out. It's a wonderful product. I highly recommend it.
Make sure you wear a mask or you have a carbon filter system for your printer because it is strong. Yeah, ZYLtech. Check it out. It's the ZYLtech transparent dyed resin. So you can put any ink dye you want in there. And they send you these cool colors. You get black, white, green, blue, yellow, and red. And if you're going to use them, you need to put quite a bit in there, more than you would think. They look wonderful. Go check it out.